You were an employee, then you started the journey. How did you silence the doubt? Adriana Usvat is a first-generation entrepreneur who landed in Dubai over 20 years ago.
I had two options: to go back home and to say I quit, or to make my new journey successful.
And even broken 10 Guinness World Records. What is the secret of your success in business?
The most important thing is self-leadership, learning how to manage yourself before you manage your time.
What helps you stay in creation mode rather than in competition? Is it true that it's lonely at the top? What do successful leaders know about time management that people who are just at the beginning of their entrepreneurial journey could implement or learn from?
It is key to focus on your well-being, because when you are zen, there are 20 things that you can do in one day compared to a day when you are very stressed and you actually literally will stay a full day in the office and achieve absolutely zero. The reality is that you cannot become successful without having
What does it take to build something out of nothing and then turn it into something extraordinary? Today on UnMute, we are sitting down with a woman who's done just that, and not just once, but again and again. Adriana Usvat is a first-generation entrepreneur who landed in Dubai over 20 years ago with no financial backing, just vision, grit, and a deep belief in creating value that lasts. She launched FLC Marketing Group during the 2008 recession, a time when most people were playing it safe. Today, her agency has led over 2,000 campaigns for Fortune 500 brands, reshaped shopper marketing and experiential events across the region, and even broken 10 Guinness World Records. But Adriana's real power isn't just in the results, it's in how she leads. She builds companies where people grow, not just profits. She brings learning in the workplace, mentors rising talent, supports social causes, and brings heart into high-performance environments. Whether she's designing campaigns, advising boards, or launching ventures in hospitality, her leadership blends strategy with heart. We will talk about how to stay grounded when the world gets noisy, what it really means to lead a team through evolution, why bold ideas need even bolder communication, and how your greatest brand asset might be your truth. If you are an entrepreneur, a founder, or simply someone navigating uncertainty while trying to grow, this conversation is a masterclass in courage, clarity, and conscious leadership. Let's unmute with Adriana Usvat. Thank you so much for being in the studio. Thank you so much for making time for this precious conversation. One of the first questions I have is, what do you notice that people most mute in themselves?
First of all, thank you for having me, Andrea, and for putting me on the spot. That's amazing. Thank you. I think the way I perceive people, I think lots of them find it easier today to wear a mask rather than be their own authentic self. So their own authentic self is something probably that most of us are muting.
I've asked this question also because you've been mentoring so many founders, so many people who are building their startups. How are you leading them and helping them unmute their courage or their leadership?
I think, I was actually quite interesting. I was just thinking this morning about one thing which gave me complete freedom, and I think that was the moment I realized that it's okay if people don't like me. And I think that's a message which I want to transmit, and I'm doing my best to transmit to everyone that I know. It's okay if people don't like you. you shouldn't be expecting that. And the moment you realize that, you become your own true self, and there is so much power into that, because the conversations are going to the next level. What you demand from people is going to the next level. What you want to share is going to the next level, because once you admitted that, you have nothing more to lose, right? So I think probably that's one of the things that I'm trying to encourage myself to do, is to speak up. It can be a mistake, or it can be something, an idea which makes sense, but it's important to speak up their own mind so that I understand what is there, and it's important for them also to do that.
But what was your journey to reaching to the recent realization, or a deeper belief of it's okay if not everyone likes me, or not everybody has to like me? What was your journey to reach to this point? Because obviously it didn't happen overnight.
No, correct. So it's an entire journey. I mean, sometimes it can be friends, it can be clients, where you keep on trying. I think she liked this, I think he liked that, I think this is gonna be nice, let me try this, not to spoil the relationship, let's keep on going. And as much as you try, you see that it is not working, and I think that while you pay attention to this, at one point of time you are like, so what would happen if I would just do whatever I feel like doing? How would it be, And surprisingly, I think once you start being yourself and admitting that, actually things are going in your favor. This is how it is. It's been a long journey. I mean, obviously you have different stages of evolution, right? I mean, you have the human, and then you keep on unpeeling, and then the individual keeps on growing, and then does different mistakes, and then keeps on learning and growing and learning and growing, and then finally you reach a stage in which you say, you know what, I'm very good in my own skin, and it's okay to assume myself, first of all, because it's about you assuming yourself, assuming your deeds, good or bad, and then just coming the way you are.
Now, you have many accolades. You spoke at TEDx, you're a Harvard graduate, your team is huge, you're expanding your business across Saudi Arabia, India. So that's clear. As you just shared this journey with me, I want to reveal a little bit about the woman and the human behind the title founder and entrepreneur. So what exactly are those layers that you had to peel off, let's say 20 years ago, 10 years ago? What were you holding on that you let go? Like, what are the name of the layers that you had to let go? So maybe not feeling afraid that you will lose a client, or belonging. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I think one thing which I had from the very beginning, and I take it with me, and I think it helped me in my entire journey. I always had the child's curiosity, and I still have it, and this is how I grew, and I think this is why I continue to grow, because I'm curious. I want to learn new things, so that's why I go into education. That's why I go into meeting other people. That's why I go into other ventures. That's why I'm curious about opening other business, or understanding what the future holds for us, and what is it that we can do next. Now, with regards to things that I learned around the journey, I think probably I'm becoming more comfortable with being myself. Probably part of my journey as growing up also made me a very resilient, strong woman, probably quite demanding. I demand a lot of things from myself, and I also demand a lot of things from people which are around me, just because I think that the human humans are such amazing beings that it's only normal to hope for more and to want them to do more. And I think it's helping them in their evolution. But with that, obviously, sometimes I had to understand that it's probably time to let go of feeling bad when people do not understand why I keep on pushing. It's probably time to let go of people which are saying why more is needed. It's probably time to let go of understanding difference of opinions. I mean, there are people which understand relaxing and sitting on the couch and just watching TV. I don't understand that. I'm getting hyper by doing that, right? For me, relaxing means having an active lifestyle, going to the gym and then traveling and then reading some books. So I think the one thing that I learned in my journey is that, we have billions of people living on this planet, and it's absolutely normal to have differences of opinions and different ways of probably reaching the same destination. So that's my journey, and I think that's what I learned how to do. And then probably the other thing which I learned how to do is being a little bit more vulnerable. That is something which never actually naturally came to me. I mean, I always thought that we are in an office or we are meeting people to discuss what we have to do and then just get it over with, So I learned now that when you are vulnerable and you share a little bit about what you feel, people also tend to do the same, and then a deeper bond is being created, and then you work on developing that relationship for longer periods of time. So that's probably another learning which I had. Yeah.
The next question is, what's something that people assume about the entrepreneur Adriana, but is not true?
Oh, wow.
About you as a successful entrepreneur, but it's not true.
I think we should ask them, because I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably. I mean, I don't know, but I think lots of people think that if you are successful, either you're lucky or you had the right relationships, or probably you worked hard, right? It's one of them. And I think the reality is that you cannot become successful without having all of them. So it's a mix between, having a bit of luck, but working very hard towards that luck, understanding the opportunity and working on that opportunity. And then it's also a lot of hard work. So it's a mix of them.
Okay. Speaking of success, speaking of success, how did arriving in Dubai with no safety net has shaped you in the super successful woman that you are today?
I think one of the things that helped me again is the child's innocence. I will always be grateful for that. I mean, I grew up in a communist Romania where we kind of we are taught to be very independent and hardworking and resilient. I think that was built. I think all Romanians are like that, or at least those in my generation. But I think I kept the child's innocence, and I think when I came to Dubai, I saw a world full of possibilities rather than me looking at myself of coming with a disadvantage because I came with no safety net. And because there was no safety net, I had an advantage because I didn't have anything to lose. So when you have nothing to lose, the only way of or direction of going is up, because lower you cannot go. So I think this is how I remember or I perceive today at this stage my arrival in Dubai with relatively no safety network.
And as you started FLC in 2008, and I remember you sharing that story, and I still feel moved by how you put money together to start the license and how you started with your first employee, who is still your employee today.
Correct.
And, how did you silence the doubt of it's recession? You were an employee, then you started the journey. How did you silence the doubt and the fear of the unknown in that moment?
It was a survival fight, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
We were here in 2008 in the middle of recession, um, and I had two options: to go back home and to say I quit, or to make my new journey successful. I didn't want to admit that I quit, so I made my journey successful just to ensure I don't quit. And I think so that would be one thing. That's again, that's a mindset. I mean, it could have gone either way, but I think that's a mindset, and probably um, that's one thing which maybe I have as an advantage. And then apart from that, I think I was also lucky to use my gut feeling and intuition, which is very important in for a woman, and to choose the right business partner. And I think resilience, and not wanting to quit and choosing the right partner is what made the combination successful.
For me, as I have known you for 18 years now, and since I have the privilege to call you a super close friend because you've inspired me and supported me a lot in my private life and also in my business journey, I think I will also add a layer of you. So not many people know that you are also you're a performing dancer. You've studied for many, many years, since you were 4 or 5 years old, traditional Romanian dance. And maybe the performer in you and the discipline that you had from such a young age gave you a certain, a different neurology, a different mindset. Would you agree with that? Would you attribute your desire to I have to make myself successful to the fact that you were already building discipline while being on stage and performing and practicing dance every day?
I'm sure that dancing and also mixing dancing and learning while growing up and excelling in school while also dancing is something which helped me, because I was very disciplined, and I just wanted to make it in anything, and that's why I keep on going back to curiosity. I mean, it was about dance and performing well, and it was about education and doing it well, and now this time it was yet another challenge, which is supposed to be done well, and this is what I've done.
You very often share with me how many of the ventures, the investments that you have made, and the successes that you have in your life altogether have been on your vision board.
Mm-hmm.
But not too many people know that one of your biggest dreams was to be a professional dancer, and that destiny, circumstances have turned your path in a different direction. Take us there to when you were a dancer and you were very, very young, a child, and how did that impacted you, and how did you patch things with yourself when you realized that your biggest love was dance and that was taken away from you?
So I started dancing when I was probably 6, roughly, and then I was training almost every day. I was practicing. I became a team member in a dance group which was dancing at different international, local competitions on TV also. And then when I turned 18, I became official professional ballerina. I danced in front of a commission. I got my certificates. And then, because of the understanding at that time back in my country that you cannot do well both a profession or a university or a study and dancing, I had to give up. So one thing which I put in my mind at that time was that I will not allow anyone to tell me what I can and cannot do. And I think that is something which impacted my journey in a good way, or probably in a way which needs some learning. But reality is that I'm a strong believer that we can do anything we put our mind to. I'm a strong believer that we can do multiple things at the same time, as long as we put our focus, attention, and dedication to it. I'm a strong believer that there will be a few things which we miss in life if we want to focus on multiple things at the same time. But as long as you assume it, I think it's okay. And I think that's something that I'm trying to preach even to my nieces or to any people growing up that surround me. I'm trying to tell them that, look, it's not impossible to be and fit and to have hobbies and to travel and to be very good in your job. It's not impossible. You just need to do something which is called time management, and you actually really need to want to do those things, and then you'll get it done.
In my eyes, you've mastered time management, and I want to go there soon. But before we go there, I still want to go back to when you decided that I won't let anyone to tell me what I can and I cannot do, because you couldn't pursue 12 years of practice of dancing was cut because of a certain cultural and environmental culture. How that decision of I won't let anyone tell me what I cannot do has served you as a leader?
Well, I mean, it served me in good and bad ways, you know. So then as you grow, you realize that. So in a positive way is that I wouldn't take no for an answer, which means that there are obstacles which are coming, right? There are people which are moving out. There are contracts that you are losing. There are clients which are not happy with your services. Lots of things are happening, and that's normal. But I wouldn't let that discourage me. I would pass over such situations quite fast. I would be disappointed for a day or two. But then the third day, I forgot about it, and there is a new journey, and there is a new chance that life and the new day is bringing me. So this is the positive part of not taking no for an answer. The probably not so positive element of not taking no for an answer is that I also tend to be very confident in my decisions. Probably some would call me a little bit stubborn also. I tend to do my homeworks very well, and when I start talking, I tend to be very confident that I know what I talk about. So I'm quite a cookie for people to deal with me. I think that's what some people might perceive that might be my the minus of what has happened in my journey, and what me saying no to dance led to eventually in life. I have no regrets. I'm again assuming who I am as a person. I think I grew, and I reached that day in which I'm perfectly comfortable with who I am.
Gorgeous. Let's go back to time management, which I would love to know more from you, at least your perspective, how you've mastered it, and I'm sure everybody wants to better master their time because it means mastering your life. So what are no-nos, and what are the things that you are implementing that is helping you be able to travel, manage 3 companies, many investments? Give us the secret sauce, Adriana's secret sauce.
So I know, probably the most important thing is spending time with yourself in the morning, like the way you sit with your employees and you do their job list, or you go through their job list. Just understanding what's on your plate and prioritizing what's important, and also clearly understanding that you have a number of 12 or how many hours you want to dedicate to everything in a day. Understanding how you want to split those hours, and being strictly very, very disciplined about, okay, time for this has finished, now I need to start this, right? So initially in my journey, I was focusing and I was giving a lot to my marketing company. After that, I realized that I would like to do more things in my life, travel more. I also wanted to focus more on my fitness. I wanted to read more. I wanted to start engaging or doing different types of speaking, or saying yes to different speaking opportunities. So then I started looking again at the time that I allocated for various things. And then I started focusing on what is it that it is urgent and not important that someone else can do in my place. What is something that it is not urgent and very important, which I have to do? What is something that it's urgent and important that I have to do? And what is something that is not urgent and not important that I can delegate to someone else? So just to summarize, probably it is all about spending time with yourself and understanding what do you want to do and how do you want to spend those 12 hours, and then being very disciplined and saying stop when the time has lapsed for one kind of the activities that you focused on, and understanding that you cannot do everything. So if you want to add something, you need to remove something. So get a team of people that you can delegate to. Start being comfortable delegating, but at the same time, also understand that delegation with no checking is a failure most of the times. I don't want to say it always, but yeah, it's a failure. So put check in places, I think.
And bottom line, what do successful leaders know about time management that people who are just at the beginning of their entrepreneurial journey could implement or learn from?
Well, I don't know what other people know. I can tell you what I know. What I know is that we can do a lots of things with the time which is available to us. Spending infinite hours in the office doesn't mean that you are productive. Sometimes you deliver more when you are in the right state of mind. So probably it is key to focus on your well-being, you coming up very well rested, you coming up in a positive way, because when you are zen, there are 20 things that you can do in one day compared to a day when you are very stressed and you actually literally will stay a full day in the office and achieve absolutely zero. So I think probably the most important thing it's self-leadership, learning how to manage yourself before you manage your time would be my number one.
Tell us more about self-leadership. You've spoken about self-leadership also in your recent TED Talk. We've spoken about it in our private time. Why is it important to know more about self-leadership? And just tell us a little bit more about your 2 cents on it.
Because, so what is self-leadership? Self-leadership is focusing on your dreams, your goals, anything that you want to achieve, and focusing on how do you want to achieve that. And that starts with, I think, prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your goals and the things that are important to you. And then everything else comes, because when you are in a good place, you have the opportunity and the potential to give back. And when you are not in the good place, unfortunately, that's becoming difficult, and it starts impacting lots of other things. And I think the real journey is the journey of self-leadership, because end of the day, before growing anyone else, we need to learn how to grow ourselves.
What happened in your life when you were not able to put yourself first, but the company and the team and the goals were first?
I went through a burnout. I went through a burnout, which I didn't realize. It just I just realized recently that I had that. The body also reacted, meaning I had immense pain on my right side of and my right hand. My nerves were being pressed. And then I needed to go through the entire healing journey to take care of my body, take care of my health, and actually going back to focus on myself. And then when I went back to focus on myself and my peace, out of a sudden, all the pain disappeared. But I think it's more than that. I think the most important thing is that when you go into such a scenario, what happens is that you just do lots of things out of routine. You forget to ask yourself, how is this helping me achieve my dream, where I started from in the initial place? I had a dream, right? We all have a dream. We come and we grow with some dreams in our mind, and then we go into this routine. Let's grow it bigger. Let's make it nicer. Let's motivate more people. Let's do all these things. And lots of the things that we do are not because we want them in the first place. Lots of the things that we do are just because someone else is doing them, or we just do them because they are easy to grab, they are available to us, they are being proposed to us, and then you're like, oh yeah, let's do this. So probably at that time we need to stop and just ask, is this what I actually want to do or not? And then speaking about time management, once you ask that questions, you will realize that half of the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis are things which you don't really want to do. You just do it out of routine, or out of I don't know, out of a habit. That's it.
Speaking of dreams, and thank you very much for sharing that. Speaking of dreams, so first of all, for people who are already here in the conversation, have reached this part of the conversation, we are both Romanians, and I tell you very often, I look up to you. You inspire me because you're extremely grounded and humble, despite your huge success that I've witnessed you in 16, 18 years that you've built with your own hands. I've been a witness on your journey. And I want to amplify what I know about you. I want more Romanian people, whoever is watching us right now, to know, how did you move from, because in our times, we had our parents' mindset on communism. We had the scarcity mentality of close the light for the bill to be low, right? Like be in economical mode, which is being scarcity mode. I want to know, when did you move into, there is no need to be too economical and to live in scarcity mentality, that there aren't enough opportunities, that there is not enough business for everyone, and you moved into, let's create value, and there is an abundance of opportunities. Can you take us to, when did you make that click and you freed yourself from scarcity mentality?
A very interesting question. I had it for quite a while, you know. First of all, thank you for everything that you say. You know, I just wanted to clarify one thing. Success is different for different people, you know, and it's very important to understand that. You know, sometimes for me, probably it's important to have a business, but probably for someone else, it's important to have a family. So I just want to clarify that I'm successful through my eyes, right? Or probably through your eyes, but you know, different other people are successful in their own ways, and I love and appreciate that. And with that being said, it took me quite a while to let go of the scarcity mentality. But there are a few things which I absolutely loved in my journey. First, I go back to the child's innocence and curiosity, because we come from communist Romania, and because one of the things that my parents always used to do is they always used to ask me to switch off the lights, and I kept on switching them on because I was completely scared as a kid of the dark, and they kept on asking me, whenever I was getting out of a room, I was supposed to switch the light off, and I kept on forgetting doing this, and they kept on reminding me, So as I moved out into my house, and in general, as I moved out to live alone, I promised myself that I will keep as many lights as I want on. So one is the child's innocence. So that made me move past a little bit of the scarcity and going into, okay, I want lights into my house. And then, there is another thing which remained into my mind as I grew in my journey, and that's something which Ion Syriac mentioned, and actually my brother told me, and it remained deep into my mind. He was saying that one of the things he said is that you will realize that you are becoming rich when you go into a restaurant and you order everything that you want to order without looking at the price, and I made it a purpose of mine to go into a restaurant and to order whatever I want to order. I'm not eating too much, but then I made it a purpose to do that, to order whatever I want to order without looking at how much it costs. And I think it's a journey, some of us will need generations to pass that moment, because obviously lots of the things have affected us. But I think the more you give and the more you focus, the more you'll attract. And I truly, really believe in that.
The more you focus on what you want to achieve
and also on giving, because it's not only about you, life is about give and take, right? So if you are into a scarcity mentality, it's not only for yourself, it's also for those around you, right? And I grew up with being careful with how I spend my money. I grew up with focusing mostly on reinvesting rather than spending, right? But then reality is that sometimes the more you give, be it in the way of investments, maybe helping other people, maybe going on different institutions of educations, the more you give in various ways through your own understanding, charity, the more you attract back. Because I think that's the nature of money in general, They are supposed to come and go.
I'm curious to just listening to you, it makes me go into a different tangent than I have prepared for our conversation. To what do you attribute, what are you most grateful for being Romanian, for having a Romanian DNA? How do you feel that your roots have made you the successful woman and entrepreneur of today?
Oof. I think we are very sharp. We are very smart. I've never entered a room for someone not to tell me that if they met a Romanian, you're not smart. I didn't, So I think this is something that we have as Romanians inbuilt. I think that's on the plus side. I think we are naturally smart, street smart. Probably some of us are also educated smart, but we have lots of us which are street smart. That's the plus and the positive side. Probably the not so positive side is that some of us still need to learn how to proactively want to grow that smartness of ours, rather than leaving it and expecting that being smart is enough to deliver results.
Yeah. Not to be entitled or complacent.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that would be the area to develop. But I think that's one thing that I've been always grateful for our parents. That's one thing, and the other thing which I think is naturally ours is the fact that historically being in that place of the world where we are positioned, and having in view the different countries which were around us and the different wars which happened, and the fact that sometimes, and actually lots of times, in different moments of histories, we needed to stand up for ourselves as a nation. I think that's something which built in Romanians a lot of resilience and strength, and we have this. We'll always find our way. The most important thing is for us to want to do it, and then we'll find a way. I think that's a given. Look, there are so many people which I meet in amazing positions, even here, and I can't stop wondering, and then that's it.
I feel the same. I feel very proud to represent Romania here in the UAE. But you, more than many people I know, you are a proper global citizen with businesses and investments around the globe. What do you hear yourself saying very often to other people when you say you're from Romania? What are a few things that you always say to people when they ask you, tell me how is Romania? Or what about from our heritage, from our tradition, from how Romania is, you find yourself most often sharing with others?
I think Romania is special for its people and for the beauty of the land. I think we have an amazing country. Not every country in the world has mountains and seaside, which is amazing. I think our nature is absolutely beautiful. I think we have amazing sceneries everywhere. Wherever you go, be it Cluj, be it Bucharest, be it Brașov, be it the seaside, Mamaia, it's an amazing country. It looks great. And then the other thing which I say, I think a place is most special because of its people. And I think us Romanians as a nation, we are pretty special. We are very hospitable, we are friendly. We have our, love of life, which is in most of us, despite lots of things. So I think that's what I tend to speak about.
And my last question about our loved, amazing country and our heritage is, but I want you to give me a quick answer.
Mm-hmm.
How much your mom and how much your dad have influenced the human that you have become today?
A lot, definitely a lot.
Tell me more. What did you take from your dad that is obvious? And what did you take from your mom that is obvious?
You are putting me on the spot. That's a tough one.
You're welcome.
Okay, so so I think from my dad, I took a lot of rational thinking. He finished cybernetics. He was all about maths and to the point and clearly understanding analytics and all that. And I think I have a lot of that in me. I'm to the point and very analytical and kind of understanding and loving numbers. I absolutely love numbers. From my mom, I think I took the agility and the speed of doing things and the ability to multitask and do 20 different things at the same time. She's continuously running. She's very active. She's doing lots of things at the same time, and usually finishes a lot faster than us. In the house. So that's what I took from her. I'll only focus on the positives.
Thank you for answering my second question.
I will only focus on the positives.
What is only one thing that you would have wanted a bit more from your dad, and what is one thing that you would have wanted a little bit more from your mom?
That they have and they have and I don't have.
No, what is one thing that you would have wanted more from them to give you, to share with you, to tell you?
So probably for both of them, I would say it's the same. Maybe for my mom would be two. So I'll tell you, for my dad, will be me learning how to be a little bit more vulnerable and to share emotions, how I feel. I don't think it's him. I think it's the entire nation and how we grew up. We don't know this. For us, vulnerability equals being weak. So reality is vulnerability equals power, not being weak. I find it hard most of the times to be vulnerable because I was not built like that, or I didn't grow up like that. For my mom, it's also that is there, but not that pronounced. I think she has a little bit more. Amongst us as a family, she is the most vulnerable. I think for my mom, probably the ability to slow down, probably the ability to slow down and let others do the things that need to be done.
Got it. And speaking of, thank you for sharing that. And speaking of mom and dad, let's go back to intuition. And when were you more intuitive rather than rational, though you were highly influenced by your dad and by your natural personality to be more rational, strategic, having this engineering mindset of being highly analytical very fast? How did you discover to hear the intuition and the logical mind and then to follow the intuition when needed?
I have a fantastic intuition and I'm using it very well. I mean, I don't want to sound too confident, but I see things that lots of people don't see it years before they would happen.
And to what do you attribute this? How did you cultivate it?
I think I just listen to it, you know. I think it goes back to the child, you know, and that spending time with yourself and trying to see, you know, having a conversation, saying I feel that, and then just trusting that God. I mean, it's a good question. Probably we need to go and investigate. But I know my intuition is very good, and I see lots of things, and then they will happen. So.
But did it happen to you to be in situations where you didn't listen and you were like, ah?
Yeah, lots of times. Even with people, sometimes I just feel it, you know. So I meet a person and I know it's not going to work. And I'm like, no, be rational. Give it time. You need to know. You need to see. You need to. Overall, the paper looks good. Everything is good. No. Lots of times. So I learned also in time that, you know, it's like when you make a decision, it's very, very important to listen to both, and your rational side and your intuition. When you combine them, there is the real power. The only thing is that you will need to learn to silence some voices inside of you. And again, that goes back to grounding yourself, calmness, being with yourself, and actually understanding the entire equation, right? But yeah, I think that's we make the best decisions when we combine the rational and the intuition bit.
When you do your investments, are you using more of the intuition?
I do a bit of both. I tend to use intuition a lot as well. Which is, I mean, I love risk. Look, I love risk. I mean, I was trying to contain it because of that scarcity mentality. But I think I love risk. So I do use my intuition. I do love analytics also, so obviously I'm taking care of that bit also. I always remind myself that, okay, you need to keep a balance before I start jumping and running. Sometimes I tend to jump a bit too fast.
Speaking of intuition, are you still hiring people, or you have the HR, the chief of staff doing that?
So I think people are one of the most important, if not the most important thing that any businessman can do. When you surround yourself with successful people, people that you can grow, then your business is going to flourish. And to answer your question shortly, yes, that is one of the main things. Even interns which are joining our company, I still love to meet them. I still spend time even with promoters which are on the floor, and hirings, well, hell yes, 100% fully involved.
And this reminds me that that's how we've met. I was on set. I was hired by FLC Marketing long time ago to model for a campaign. And I think I must have done also some promotions for FLC. And luckily for me, I was able to grow a beautiful friendship and relationship with you. Thank you for advising me on my business. Thank you for putting me on track with my finances. Thank you for telling me when I'm late. So when I was late, when Adriana started mentoring me, I was late once or twice. And then she asked me this one question. Why are you late? But like her face and your face at that time, and your tone of voice made me want to just like press a button and disappear from your living room, because I couldn't answer. What do I say? Like, you are busy, you are mentoring me, and I'm there late for the second, third time, and you were like, exactly, why are you late? Where do I disappear now? And then since then, I was always fearful to be late when I'm meeting you. And when I'm 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes late, I'm like, oh. And also, for those who don't know you, you are punctual and you are very powerful with your word. Very powerful. And that's why you inspire me. Because you don't talk much, you say few words, and every time you say something, it's happening. And people can trust you, I can trust you. And that's one of the highest values in us as humans and as leaders. And closing the parentheses on the compliments that you deserve, and I have more, I want to dive more into your mindset. And another questions I have here is, what helps you stay in creation mode rather than in competition? To what do you attribute your creativity? Where is it coming from? What do you do to cultivate it, to be more creative than competitive?
I genuinely, literally love what I'm doing, and it's not about competing with other people. It's about creating things for me. I love building things. I love building them from scratch. It can be building a house, it can be decorating a house, it can be building a company. I love growing something with my own hands, and there is no place for competition in this, because I want my house to be unique. So if my house is unique, then it's going to be different. It cannot compete with someone else's house. So this is how I lead my life.
Okay. Another question is, is it true that it's lonely at the top?
No, it's not true. I heard it lots of times. I heard it so many times, and I think at one point of time I was also believing it. But then this is again about you having a conversation with yourself, and about you understanding what you are saying. So look at it this way. If you are at the top, you are a very busy person, which means that you mainly don't allocate your time to someone else. Similarly, all the other people which are at the top, they are also very busy, which means they don't necessarily allocate their time to someone else. So one of you needs to make the effort. If you didn't really make the effort because you are too busy, then there is no reason to complain, because you know why you are lonely at the top. I think today there are lots of various organizations which are helping you to meet other people. The reality is that at the top we are very, very busy, and it goes back to that time management and understanding what percentage of your time you want to allocate to not being lonely at the top. And once you figure that out, you are going to figure out a way not to be lonely. Why? Simply because if you're at the top, you are smart, innovative, and you have everything in your power to find a networker. You can feel good also. So, yeah.
Speaking of reaching to the summit, to a peak of success, in a world that confuses visibility with value, how do you define success? There are lots of people who have visibility and a strong PR in marketing, not much value. And there are people who choose to build the businesses, build the impact, be generous and contribute, but they don't have much visibility. How do you define success from that perspective?
So, talking about this, the reality is that today I sometimes open the Instagram and I open the LinkedIn, and it's all about, and that's something which I was debating the other day in my head, because it's all about personal branding. It's everyone wants to be there to say something, and to be visible and to be present. Um, I think probably this is the world we live in. It's not necessarily a world that I absolutely love. Um, I think there are lots of silent stories, which are much more powerful, and I think I prefer conversation in smaller circles, which are bringing a lot of value, rather than a lot of nothing on a big platform. And I think probably even us as leaders thinking about it, from brand managers and different companies or seniors or leaders, we can do a bit about that, by one, starting to focus and going back to value, starting to understand what's important, because a lot of it is just fluff and people, saying things that probably are not that unique or that important, while you have people that have amazing stories to share that are not being shared. And I think that's the reality of the world that we live in. I don't know. I have this in my mind of lately.
I feel the same, and I'm intrigued by this topic. Only yesterday, I was recording with Igor Grosu, the Moldovan entrepreneur whom I've told you about. And he was telling me that he's going through a major campaign with an international PR and personal branding. And the company was taking them through a major exercise. And he said, I'm amazed how many people have very little to say, and they are so loud and big, and they have hundreds of videos, and they go on platforms. But he said, I believe exactly what you just said. I believe that there are much more powerful people with depth, with resources, with power and influence, who don't feel the need to be loud, who don't feel the need to be applauded, who don't want to put any video podcast out there. And I said to him, and I'm saying to you, as I'm thinking out loud, if people who have, from their perception, the purest intentions to share their knowledge, to share themselves, if they don't make themselves visible, then audiences will always consume what's on the shelf. Mm-hmm. You as a PR queen and experience for more than 20 years in marketing and helping, I think, over 2,000 brands to launch campaigns, you know that there is this rule which I know very little about. There is the shelf that is in front of your eyes where everything is there for you to pick it up faster because you don't make the effort to go lower. I think it's the same with branding. If someone like you who definitely could be 1,000 times more amplified, I would love to see 1,000 more podcasts with you. And thank you so much for accepting. If Igor, don't put yourself on the shelf that is at an eye level, the consumer won't be able to necessarily hear you and get in touch, and they will just eat the fast food, so to speak, type of content. So maybe we have a responsibility whenever we feel like it.
Okay, so first, I'm into shopper marketing, experiential, integrated. My focus is not PR. It's not something that I usually do for my clients. Well, I understand the industry. But there is something which came into my mind while you were saying this, and I think it's something very, very relevant for us to ponder a little bit upon. I believe that there are doers and there are talkers. Some of us are midways and doers and talkers. I also believe that you can do a lot of things well, but not everything well. And I believe that a lot of people which are doing a lot of things, they don't have time to talk about a lot of things that they do because they are too busy, or they really want to focus on what they do rather than sharing what they do, as in talking. And then there are others and by no means this is what I believe in. There are others which love to talk because they have a lot of time to focus on talking, because there is a little bit less of doing that is happening there. And I think this is what is happening, and I think that even the person that you are mentioning, I think if he has so many things that he would want to achieve and to do, probably he has less time and interest to talk, because he doesn't want to share to the world what he's doing, because he doesn't need anyone's approval. He knows what he's doing. So this is where the conflict comes, right? I do think that it is up to us as an industry and very important, so that we look and we understand who are the real doers, and to focus on right, how do we manage to get some snippets and get them to share a little bit of their wisdom without going overboard, because they are busy, they are focusing on doing, not on talking. But yeah, this is what I kind of feel, you know. And then the other thing which I strongly believe is that, you know, Andrea, the more things you know and the more you start digging, the less you think you know, because you realize that there are so many other things to find and to identify and to research and to just be curious and actually enjoying the discovery journey. And that's why probably lots of the people which have a lot to say, they are a little bit more silent, because they still have a lot to discover, and they understand that because they reach that maturity level.
Thank you very much for that perspective. The way this lands with me is that on a scale of being a doer and being a talker, on a scale of not being hypothetically at all visible and being too visible but not having necessarily as much depth as the doers, both extremes want to come in the 30-40%.
Correct. Because
the doer who has impact and is humble and is constantly evolving itself, if he doesn't take real estate in people's minds, he's not able to really amplify, and maybe he doesn't want.
Exactly.
Or she. Maybe or she doesn't.
There is a possibility he or she doesn't want.
But if that individual wants to share his personal goal, personal power findings with more people, then personal brand is an amplifier that allows you to have...
He will need to focus, or she will need to focus on that, correct.
For example, when I was in the audience listening to your TED Talk, although I know you very well, although I'm in your house, although I've met your parents, although I know your friends, I was getting goosebumps when listening how you went from being responsible to buy food for yourself when you were very young, when the cars were, because in communism you had, you know, periods of time when you could buy food, and that was early in the morning, and I went through that, and listened to your story to how you were a dancer and ballerina, and then that was cut from you, and you moved to your higher education, and you came... When I was on stage observing you, watching you, I was like, I want to do even more than I'm doing today. And so that's one way in which you took more real estate.
I 100% agree with you. So I think it's very important to share. I mean, I think it's very important to share. It's just that, as I told you, I just feel that there is a lot of clutter, you know, and even for those which want to share, amongst that, all that clutter, you are like, why making all this effort? You know, honestly, sometimes it comes to that.
I think I have 2 more questions for you. What is the secret of your success in business?
The secret? Oof.
What is the common denominator?
I think it's grit, probably, to summarize it in one word. I think it's grit.
And what truth would you want every female entrepreneur, male entrepreneur, but let's just focus for a second, what truth would you want every female entrepreneur to know when she's just starting her journey as an entrepreneur?
If you really want to do it, you'll find a way.
Okay. And what in your life are you still unmuting?
As in, not...
As in, what in your life are you still unmuting? Where are you still becoming more vocal, becoming more brave, becoming more comfortable to say what you want and what you desire? Where is the volume a bit low and you want to put the volume a bit higher? In which area of your life you want to put the volume higher and unmute yourself?
I think probably this journey of actually speaking and sharing a bit from my experience, I have, 2 steps ahead and one behind, and then again 2, and then again 1. So probably there is a journey where first I need to understand what is it exactly, reasons and how. And then apart from that, probably a little bit more of focusing on my own personal life, probably a bit of that also. So those 2 things, I think, need to be a little bit unmuted.
Thank you. Would you accept a second invite to UnMute for a second episode? Because I wanted to speak so much more about you as a visionary. I wanted to speak so much about how you've scaled your business, how you've built your culture, about communication internally, externally, the good communication with your business partner, Ganesh. I didn't have time for that, and the 60 minutes are done. So whenever time will allow you, I would love to have you back here.
With pleasure. We can definitely try to dig some more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.